Okay, so the first of my SMART targets was simplified into gaining the knowledge and find out what it was like to be a teacher. This target was achieved. Evidence of this was because I spent the whole time at school shadowing different PE teachers in the department and helped in a variety of all different lessons for different years. This did help me towards my career aim because it showed me that I did quite like being a PE teacher. My second target was to improve performance analysis when observing young athletes. I think this would have needed more development in order to improve this to a good standard. I did get a small chance to do this in the volleyball and rounder sessions when the students were learning or putting other skills into play, but I found that I was unable to have enough time watching the students to find out what they were doing, and a lot of them were very inexperienced, so they were really just beginning to get the hang of the skill, and therefore anything they weren't doing was really to be expected until they'd been playing the sport for a bit longer. To ensure I can achieve this goal in future, I'm going to keep it in mind when I'm coaching netball or running and when watching my sister's football, because it will help towards my career aim when I need to be able to analyse the performance of young children. My third target was successfully achieved, especially in the volleyball and rounder sessions, because I had the chance to work one-to-one with some of the students and give them explanation on why using a set technique was more beneficial than what they were doing. In the volleyball and rounder games, I also saw an improvement in my explaining of rules, which helped to make the session run smoothly and stop them from being confused about any rules. This aids my career path because being able to explain skills and tactics efficiently will allow the children I'm teaching to pick up the required skills faster, and therefore it will be more likely and successful to be used in their performances. My fourth target of researching into degree options related to PE was not achieved to the extent that I've wanted, because I am yet to have a look at different universities and what they have to offer. However, I did have a chat with a few of the teachers and was able to work out with them which degrees would open the most opportunities in teaching. So in some sense I did work towards this target. In order to achieve it in the future, I'm going to make sure I have some time to look at different sport degree options and which universities would offer them. This contributes to my career path because it allows me to work out a successful plan of how I'm going to be a PE teacher. My final target was to be aware of the organisation needed in becoming a PE teacher. This was definitely achieved because one of the main parts of my placement was to help the teacher organise their equipment, so I had a good understanding of what they needed and how best to use it and set up so the lesson ran as smoothly as possible. This affects my career path because PE teachers need to be organised when teaching in order to get their class to have a good lesson and then back inside to change before their next one. However, it is also relevant in training to become a teacher because there are so many elements, including work experience, dissertations, personal sports, which you have to fit in and do if you're going to be a good teacher. So, evaluating my placement, one strength of it was the knowledge that I brought to it. This was a strength because it showed those I was teaching that I knew what I was talking about and therefore made them more confident in what they were doing. It was related to my aim because I wanted to be able to get a better explaining of sports, and with that you have to have the knowledge to be able to do it. It also linked to my second and third SMART targets of being able to analyse a performance better, working out which elements need fixing and improving, and being able to explain different aspects of the skill, which would also aid my target on gaining experience as a teacher, because that is what they do day to day in their job. A second strength I showed in the placement was being able to do everything I was asked of. This was a strength because it meant that I didn't cause any problems with the teacher I was working with. It also fitted in with my first SMART target of gaining experience of being a PE teacher because I was able to get a taste of a variety of different tasks which they're required to have. This aids me towards my career path because I if I become a PE teacher, I'm going to need to be able to follow what the head of department and senior leadership are asking of me, and this will mean I'm able to adhere to them and follow any requests they may have from me. A third strength of my placement was that I was enthusiastic about working at the school with the PE department. This is a strength because it showed I was up for doing everything they asked of me and that I was eager to learn. This helped towards all of my targets because it allowed me to have a positive attitude when trying to achieve them. More specifically, it allowed me to be successful in achieving the organisational one, which may have been a little less technical and interesting. I also found being enthusiastic helped me to obtain information about degrees which you can take in order to gain a degree to become a PE teacher, which relates to my fourth SMART target. This is because teachers were happy to share their experience with me and would give me ideas of what I could do to get to their same spot. This helps me towards my career aim because if I take a positive, enthusiastic approach all the time through my education and teaching, I am more likely to not lose any motivation for where I want to end up. A final strength I saw for me in my placement was my organisation. This was a strength because I managed to get to school at the right time each day and was organised when I was helping the individual teachers, aiding them to choose how to set up each lesson. This is because this worked towards my fifth target of being organised because I had enough time to prepare myself for the day, gave myself time for me to plan what equipment would be needed for the lesson the teacher was running. This helped my career aim because it was a very similar process to what PE teachers should be like when they're planning to do a lesson, as well as practice for when I'm studying for my degree and have to deal with lots of things at the same time. So one limitation I had whilst on my placement was my lack of confidence. I found this was limiting me when I was explaining things to a larger group of children or reading results out. I struggled to read them out in the right order. This is a weakness because as a teacher, you would need to be able to talk confidently in front of large groups so they do as you tell them and find it easier to learn. A second limitation was my analytical skills. I noticed I struggled to pull apart what students were lacking when doing the skill and tell them how to build this. This has limited me in terms of becoming a teacher and my career aim because an essential aspect of teaching is to explain to a student what they are doing wrong and what they need to work on to improve this. A third limitation encountered during my placement was any research in how to take it further, for example, the appropriate degree to take and the pathway into becoming a teacher. This was limiting because it meant that whilst I was doing my work experience, I wasn't thinking about how I could use this in any aspect of my training, and I wasn't focused on actually the path of becoming a teacher. Therefore, I was learning things they may not have been going through my head as a way of what skills I will need in the future. So the development points I've made for my placement, the lack of confidence weakness would be needed to be developed for sure because my career aim is to become a teacher and therefore I'll need to be able to speak in front of large groups. This can be developed by practicing talking in front of large groups of children and teaching them in schools just to gain experience. Having the confidence in gaining it would aid my career aim because confident teachers are listened to and taken more seriously by students, and therefore I would have a better relationship with them if I'm teaching them and they wouldn't answer back and cause trouble for me. In order to develop my analytical skills in the near future, I think it is essential that I gain more practice in doing it with young performers. I can do this by watching videos of beginners and amateur performers of a similar age group, watching my little sister and her sports team, and just go through what they are lacking and how they can improve this in my head. And a third and final development point would be further research into becoming a teacher, which would help me develop into achieving my career aim, because in order to qualify as a teacher, it is essential that you have obtained a degree and done the ITET course. In order to develop this, I will ensure that I allocate some time, which would lead to me doing some specific research into what degree and university would be best for me to become a teacher and obtain a degree. and the IDT for success.
Thank you for listening. Sorry for the background noise.
Thanks.